I was do you have any things that are non-negotiables, like that you do every day that you don't miss, like rain or shine? It doesn't have to be like training or nutrition shit, but other things that you're like, these happen every day.
Some of these are going to surprise you.
Probably not. You're weird, but go ahead.
Uh, well, because I traveled with you, I
I'm
brush my
not
teeth.
the same. I'm not the same man.
I brush my teeth every day.
Come on, dude. Just because I forget my toothbrush doesn't mean I don't brush my teeth every day. I brush my teeth like 3 times a day.
I wear deodorant every day.
Oh,
Uh,
I do now too.
okay, I do now. Um, Man, for sure. But you're like not training in nutrition. I mean, most of it.
Can be. I'm just, if you have any non-negotiables, or like even by a weekly standard, what these things have to happen.
What are yours? Because I'm sure I do. I just don't know that I've been like, these are my non-negotiables. What would you say yours are?
Well, I mean, the one's going to sound gimmicky, but I get a cold shower every morning, even if I don't feel like it. And I make sure I get a walk in with Ruth immediately after that. Like those two things happen. And then I hit at least two strength sessions per week. I make sure that those things absolutely have to happen. Other stuff will happen regardless, but like those are just kind of the things that I've more of a mental baseline foundational type of thing that I've realized that, like, I think that if they help me, so people have some kind of non-negotiables that, like, I know that these boxes are checked regardless, then I think it helps kind of progress in different ways. So I'm just always curious if other people do.
I mean, mine are definitely mostly training and nutrition related, but hearing you say that, um, it, normally I would smash it, but it's my minimum non-negotiable is I do look at steps and hit 8,000 a day. And like,
There
if
you
I'm
go.
run, if I'm running, which is Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, it's not even an issue. So it's really like a Wednesday and a Sunday thing, but especially Sunday. There's that. Uh, there's some family stuff. I don't know if I would say they're non-negotiables because they're like rotating things, but I think just non-negotiable, like, did we set aside and get in quality family time? Did we get out and do something fun on the weekend? Because the weekends where you don't, it's like, it's just, you roll into the next week and you're like, crap, like family's like, we didn't really do anything this weekend. And so anymore, it doesn't need to be anything crazy, but it's just like, what, and it doesn't have to be just one thing either, but it's like, what are we getting into this weekend? Uh, One I want to bring back, and it's just been crazy, and I don't even know where we're gonna put it. But I used to have a non-negotiable every Wednesday night date night with Jess, um, and we have not brought that back. And our schedules are crazy, but that's one I want to bring back. And then training, dude. Like when I jumped into the train up for the Georgia Death Race, my training went like this, which was very problematic in hindsight. um, But I remember thinking when I'm done with this race, like I can't wait to go back to training 3 to 4 times a week. Because if I look at it before, like we would put 5 days a week on the schedule, but every now and then I'd miss, a conditioning day or something here and there. And I almost never, ever, ever did 2 a days. So I would say it's not even that it's a non-negotiable. Like we were talking about it this morning, with the tactical guys, for lack of better terms, of like there's really good stuff in that DJ Shipley interview with Huberman, but also like when he talks about like basically everything's effed if I don't get that morning training in, like, and it was just like this, like
I
nothing
think
good.
that's silly, but
Yeah, but also like to each their own, and like that awareness, and um not him, but someone else, Ross McKay, I think is how you say his last name, started a drink and supplement company called Cadence, and I've been listening to a lot of stuff from him lately and really dig his message. one of the things that he talks about, he's not as maniacal as DJ with this stuff, but he was just like, if it's for me, it needs to come from my hours. So what he's saying is like, once his wife and kid are up, like in that morning window before they're off to their things, like he's not going to train in that window, right? So he gets up earlier and gets his training in. Or it's like, it's not like he's going to like say no to important things during the business day, like, yeah, I got to go train. So he's like, I focus on the things for me and my hours. So I would say at some level, like that's what DJ is doing. But back to the point of, I thought that I was going to go back to this like 5 days a week, almost never do doubles. And I did that for like a minute. And then I really, really missed having all the training. So I would just say it's not that it's a non negotiable, but my floor has come way up. And I do 10 sessions basically every single week. I do 10 sessions. I couldn't tell you the last time I got less than 9 sessions in a week. So I don't define it as non negotiable, but I feel really, really, really good on that. And I like what it's given me.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, you can define it anyway. It could be like something that's non-negotiably going to happen, but in a given time period or something like that. But just, I don't know. And it's like, I'm not a total Nazi about it, but it's like, I said, I'm not a Nazi. Um,
From
but I
total,
just
but not total, which means maybe a little.
did say that. That's not what I meant. Uh, but I'm not, I mean, yeah, it's like things that are like, I'm going to do these things every day and I don't really miss them. And I don't really, it's not something that I guess the better way to define it is I don't allow myself to try to negotiate my way out of it. Oh, like, well, it's cold out this morning or whatever it might be, or it's raining, or you know what I mean? It's just those things that you don't let the negotiation set in and you try to talk yourself out of it somehow. So I think they're just,
I have 2 more weird ones then. I mean, they're not that weird.
you're not
Pertinent
going to
to
bring your toe stuff up. Right?
I actually, that's exactly no. Pertinent to today's conversation, more recent non-negotiables. Like I would go through like seasons of this, but now it's just like it is my routine every single morning. I get up and I weigh myself every single day. And it's not, I've hit my, it's weird to call it a weight loss goal, but I did like a cut. I've hit my goal. I've actually gotten a little bit under my goal, and now it's more of a maintenance thing. So morning weigh-in, and then something that I thought that I would never say that we'll absolutely talk about today is actually tracking my nutrition every single day, but not for the reasons that I think a lot of other people would. So
I know. I'm just always curious. It's a good thing. Something to maybe people here think about for themselves. I just think that having things that you just do is important because I think a lot of people, we want to be like, we think that we don't need things like that to function as best as we possibly can. But in my experience, I think we do, like, I don't think it's like, being creatures of habit is a really important thing.
yep.
So, but
Jess won't listen to this. If she does, I'm about to spoil something, but I really don't think Jess will listen to this. There's definitely something getting added to the calendar for 2026 for me, a non-negotiable, and I'm gifting it to Finley and Jess as well with like directions for how I'm seeing us use it as a family. You know what the 5-year journal is?
yeah, I've had one before.
So I got 3 5-year journals, and I'm creating like a little how we can use this as a family, like as an individual, but like how this will be like a little time capsule for us as a family as well. So like there'll be like kind of like an intro thing that I'm putting on the left side inside the cover. And then on the right hand side, right now there's 11 starter questions, and then like a line that's like, feel free to add your own. And it's like the directions will just be every day, pick one of these questions and answer it in the line. What's more than a line, in the section for
That
that.
day.
And yeah, you do it every day, and then you come back around to it the next year. You see what you wrote the year before. The idea is that you don't flip that page, you don't flip ahead and like, oh, what did I say on, just don't even look at it. Don't even think about it until it comes back around. And some of the prompts I put in there, like there's positive ones, but there's also negative ones, like negative being like, what's my biggest struggle right now? If that's what you want to sit down and write about, but also it could be like, What's something I want what's something I want future me to know about today? Um, so I think that'll be cool.
Yeah, that's a really cool project. I like that a lot. So, the plan was to talk about nutrition things today.
Yes.
You wanted to know everything about that, what I think about it, is what you said. What do
Yes.
I think about it? Ask away, man. Ask away. I'm an open book.
Are you in the kitchen right now? I just have to ask this.
No,
Where are you?
I'm in the dining room.
All right. Looks like you're in the White House right
Maybe I am.
now.
Maybe maybe I have access to some things you don't know about, Chris.
Yeah, right. That would be fantastic.
You don't know me.
You have the flags right behind you. Um, yeah, so we're overhauling the nutrition program, and really from like multiple reasons. If I'm being completely honest, just a few months ago, this wasn't even remotely in the plans. This started from me experimenting myself with uh, at this point in the conversation, we'll just say my own journey with some things I was working on with nutrition. And then I threw it out to people in the gym, like, hey, would anyone want to beta test this? I'm thinking about doing some coaching with this. And then you were like, I think we need something that is, what was the word you used?
I use a lot of words, Chris.
Did use a lot of words. Something about like more like just do this, like immediate results based versus necessarily like building habits and skills, which obviously are important, but sometimes people just need like quick wins. And then off those quick wins, you can go do other things, which I completely shut down and rejected. It's like, no, bro, this is people are going to do this. But the more I slept on it, it really has turned into this evolution of what we always called our 3 levels of nutrition, which was like level 1 was just like a foundation of habits and skills. Level 3 was specific caloric aims broken into macronutrients. And level 2 was this in between where it's really like, it's just an audit level. Like if you're doing level 1, but you're like, it doesn't work for me, I'm not hitting my goals, then not aim for calories broken in specific macros, but just take what you currently do and in the past, I would say plug it into like MyFitnessPal or whatever macro nutrition tracker you use and track for a week. But oftentimes we would get what we need before a week's even up, because the idea with level 2 was once we identify like, okay, I didn't realize, for example, that this snack was so calorically dense. All right, let me swap that with something else. Oh, look at that. I'm starting to move towards my goals again. So that was the old way. And then as you and I have had these conversations over the last number of weeks, I'm like, it sort of is just an evolution where now, like, instead of levels, we call them tiers. But you sort of almost have, I've been calling it almost like, I don't know if I should say this, but almost like triage level is level 1. Like you just, to your point, like you need to see progress. The idea of tracking anything completely overwhelms you based on prior history, or it could be your idea of what you think it is. The idea of having a more heavy education approach and like we're going to take this sustainable approach to get to your goals, it can just be like a complete like shutting my ears off for a lot of people. Meeting people where they are, tier 1, what I'm calling this kind of like triage level, is no matter what. We'll talk about that later. I was gonna talk about the quiz, but it's meeting people where they are, and instead of being like, all right, do this. One, we're not registered dietitians, we're not nutritionists, we can't tell people exactly what to eat, but we can have people track what they eat, and then we can go, all right, let's look at breakfast. If we're consistently having, I mean, most everyone's a creature of habit. Even if it's that you're going through the drive-through, McDonald's, Chick-fil-A, whatever, or you're making something at home, you probably have the same 2 to 5 things that you rotate through on a regular basis. I don't know anyone that like every day has a completely novel breakfast, right? So knowing that, tier 1, we can go breakfast, optimize, which just looks like here's what you're currently having. We don't need to get from, here, if here is like bad, whatever that means, to here being good, whatever that means. We just need to move in a positive direction that will take you closer to your goals, and you'll see results from that. So if we do that with breakfast, and say you eat 4 times a day, we're already at 25% improvement. Then we can do it with lunch. We're at a 50% improvement. We can do it with dinner. We're at 75%. We fix your snack or your snacks, and you're at 100% improvement. And you will see progress towards your goals. And if you don't, we can use like the old level 2 and then track and look at like, well, how many calories is it? Blah, 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 right? So that's tier 1. I don't know, anything you want to add to that?
No, I mean, yeah, I would just from experience, just, even putting people through different nutritional coaching programs and just the frustration of not of feeling like everything is kicked down the road, I think sometimes. And I think it does feel overwhelming of just like, okay, well, it's like it'd be like someone coming into the gym, to a certain degree and being like, well, we got to teach you about program design first,
I was
okay?
just,
And then once you understand that, it's like, no, I want to do the shit that's going to help me right now. And I think a lot of times that opens up, and I think there's like and I think you'll talk about like a middle ground you find of like, just working with people and saying, okay, so, we're working on this meal, and just based on what you know about that person or what you've learned is like, well, these habits might lay well on top of that, like, because not every situation is going to be perfect. So if you know someone's a really fast eater and they're not mindful, like if you work on, well, you here are some recommendations for breakfast or whatever meal you choose. Plus, on top of that, like put your fork down between every bite, and then that way, and stop when you're 80% full. And then that way, if you go out to eat and the whole thing isn't perfect, you at least have skills to mitigate what might not, the factors that you can't control. And so I think direct, like, here's a great place to start, and then layer the skills on top is kind of like the best of both worlds, because you have something to take action on instead of this longer process. Like, I mean, installing the habits and everything like that is what makes a lot of the rest of everything continue to work. But really just seeing it first and getting to act on it first, I think is helpful for a lot of people.
yeah. It's sort of like years ago. I think it was Bill Hartman we were having a conversation with, and I think I just like expressed about how sometimes I feel like my degree in kinesiology is a waste because like it's all based on like NSCA and all these things that are like a lot of it is like dated and not really um we don't really put it to use, right? But he was just like, yeah, but all of those like scientific foundations give you a bullshit filter, right?
Sure. Mhm.
And so it's sort of the same with like, to use your program design thing, you can be doing like good workouts but have no idea why. And then when you're like, I think I want to go try this, you don't realize that you walk into something that's not good for you. And it can be the same thing with that person who is following insert X diet here, but then they're like, oh, someone told me about this, I'm going to go do it. And because they haven't established the skills and the foundation of habits, they can be fooled into like, all right, well, this is the answer. This is the thing that I need to do now. So yeah.
Oh
And
yeah,
the
I mean, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and to your point, yes, the way that it will work is we'll go from tier 1 at the tail end of it. Basically, once we have all that stuff in place, then we actually start to transition to some of the habits and skills from tier 2 to basically set it up like, all right, now you've been through this. Our recommendation is over the course of these 12 weeks, it's not like, okay, now you just eat these things for the rest of your life. Like, do not go off this plan. It's like, no, this was just to remove a lot of that noise and just allow you to be able to go like, all right, I'm on the right path eating these things. And now we can go and work on the habits and the skills and everything to open more doors and go to that next tier. So
Yeah, I mean, the skills and the education are important, right? It's because there is a lot of I mean, the diplomatic word used is conflicting, but the actual word is bad information out there. Just I was thinking about this the other day, where it's like, I was meeting with a guy in Texas, and this is adjacent, but he was like, his chiropractor told him he needed to get massages regularly because it got the toxins out of his muscles. And I was like, Jesus. So, but the same thing happens with nutrition, right? It's like, well, I'm going to go do carnivore or whatever. And it's like, I lost so much weight. And I was like, yeah, it's because you're eating 1,500 less calories a day. Like, it's not just because you're eating meat. You know what I mean? And so there are all these false benefits and things that people are exposed to because of they do lack knowledge. So the last thing I want anybody to do is not understand basic nutrition and how to make choices and how to evaluate what might work for them and what might be good for them and what isn't. But it also helps to start chopping some wood early on to feel like you're going somewhere. And I think often that motivates people to look a little bit deeper to try to understand more. So
100%. Anything else on tier 1 or go to tier 2?
I don't think so.
So tier 2, like for all the members in the gym who really, the old level 1 is essentially tier 2, but we're adding some different stuff to it. And nothing absolutely crazy. I should actually pull up so I'm not just like, what was it again? But one thing I can tell you for sure is like before it was like just the hand portions. And while that will be like early on in the process, we'll do the hand portions. And for anyone that's like, what are you talking about? For protein, palm of protein, 1 palm of protein for women, 2 palms of protein for men. Veggies and fruits, at least 1 fist size serving of fruits and or veggies, 2 fists for men. And then fats, 1 thumb for women, 2 thumbs for men, cupped handful of carbs, 1 cupped handful for women, 2 cupped handfuls for men, as a starting point for balanced portions for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But you can go down the rabbit hole of like, well, what if this carbohydrate source is more calorically dense and like whatever? Like this is a starting point, right? But what will happen this time is as we get further into the habits and skills, we will work on the habit and skill of reading nutrition labels and paying attention to certain things. But one of the biggest, and I feel silly for saying this because it's like what I'm about to say isn't going to be like, oh my God, I've never heard this before. But I think people should track saturated fat. Because I think when you start tracking saturated fat, you'll be blown away by how much is in a lot of the things that you're having regularly. And once you start to track that and then set some uh, limits, we'll say, so roughly 10% of your daily calories. But if you're eating 3,000 calories, I wouldn't go have 30 grams of saturated fat a day. I try to stay at like 20 or under, and most days I try to be 15 or under. Um, but we'll be adding in some different things with tracking. That being one example, but tracking some different things in tier 2, but also working on things like all of the old stuff, all the things that we learned from precision nutrition with eating slowly and stopping when satisfied, um, figuring out your ideal number of meals a day. Because you talk to someone, 1 meal a day, that's the answer. Someone else, you got to eat every 2 hours. Like, well, neither one of those are necessarily, you definitely don't need to eat every 2 hours, but you may prefer to. um, but it's like, what actually works for you and your schedule and is sustainable. So tier 2, we work on those types of things.
Yeah, it becomes second nature, I think, is one of the things that, people, when you hear like people might throw up a wall and they hear you say like, oh, well, you're tracking saturated fat or you're tracking your fiber intake or whatever it might be, the things that you're trying to pay attention to. And I think a lot of times that people are like, well, like I don't want to do that, and I don't want to do that for the rest of my life. And like, and one of the things you have to keep in mind is that you don't have to,
You don't
for
have to.
one, and for two is it just I can say this from experience from years and years of paying attention to how I eat. These decisions just become ingrained. Like it's not, you don't spend the energy to have to figure it out. Like it's just this bit of tracking that you do just creates awareness. And so that way these decisions just kind of happen. And, I mean, if it's also like once you get going and you have like these skills built and these habits built, it's like, it's not the end of the day if one day you have more saturated fat than you normally would have or something like that. It's just, you know, in America, we tend not to pay attention to it at all, and that's not a very good thing. So, yeah,
And to your point, I typically am low enough during the week, not every weekend, but on the weekends, then I'll usually have a day where like I'm throwing a big old ribeye on the Traeger or something, and then it's not really a concern. Whereas prior, if I wasn't paying attention, I might think, yeah, I'm my saturated fat's probably pretty low, and it's really higher than I would ideally have it all week. And then I also throw that ribeye on the Traeger on the weekend, and it's like,
yeah. I mean, it's just like anything else, right? You if you want to get a handle on your finances, you pay attention to them. If you want to get a handle on, whatever it is, if you're running a business, like what your conversion rate is, like you have to pay attention to it. And if you want to, um, over the course of a relatively, in the grand scheme of things, short amount of time, get a handle on these things, you just have to pay attention a little bit, and then choices become easy.
you mentioned fiber. That's definitely another thing that we will be tracking as well. I like this won't be the specific thing, but one of the first things where I was like, all right, let me really track fiber was Kelly Starrett in his book Built to Move. I think it's Built to Move. I'm looking, I thought it was sitting over here. He has the 800-gram challenge when it comes to
Vegetables and fruits.
vegetables. Yeah, which I think that is like the simplest. You're not sitting there like meticulously. Yes, you need a food scale, but you're literally just like, all right, I'm gonna have this fruit, and you put it on. All right, this equals 200 grams. Like, all right, I'm gonna have these veggies later. Like, and just try and hit 800 grams a day, and your fiber's probably gonna be in a really good place. It's not 800 grams of fiber a day. If you do that,
Christ,
I
you're
don't
gonna
know
have a
what would
bad
happen.
time.
I don't know what would happen.
Nothing good. Nothing
I
good.
get
I can tell
very
you
high.
that.
I'm normally 60 plus a day, and what I'm using to track will be like, your fiber's very high, but you tolerate this well. So 800 would probably lead to some real issues.
Yes.
I'm just looking at if there's other ones on here that are, nah, I'm not gonna go with that one. Yeah. I mean, you mentioned eating without distractions, but tier two will just be an evolution of what our former level one was. And then the fun one, the one that I've been playing with that I could go on and on about because it's been really cool, is using AI. I don't know what we're calling it except for tier three, but it's kind of like AI precision tracking. Um, but personally, like I can tell you, I've never, ever, ever used MyFitnessPal or any of these other trackers even remotely consistent because I'm like sitting here and it's like, all right, what is it on this? And all right, I have to like enter all these different things, and oh well, it wants to know my goals. It's like, no, I just want to be able to simply track. And it always makes me feel like I'm beating my head against a brick wall doing it. And I heard someone on a podcast recently. It started with them talking about how you can use ChatGPT to pretty reliably assess your body composition. And basically, it was like first thing in the morning in normal lighting conditions, like take front relaxed, relaxed front, side, back, other side, and then one like standing front, like tensed, not like full on like most muscular flexing, but just kind of tensed. And then you just tell it age, sex, weight, and height, and then say be as the sentence was something like be as unforgiving as possible, because like ChatGPT sometimes will be like, you're doing great, and it's like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
be as unforgiving as possible and give me an honest assessment of my body composition, and then you enter those things. And so I was like, you know what, I want to do this and I want to see what it would say. And so I did it, and then I'm sitting there and I'm like, I went in with, I know a lot of people use goal body weight times 13 for
Their
cutting,
calories. Yeah.
right? I'm like, but there's no way. I just was like having a conversation. I'm like, but there's no way that these people are training for performance. Like, you're not going to perform well on goal body weight times 13. And it's like, what does perform well mean? I'm talking like running in the morning, lifting in the afternoon,
There's no way. No.
And so I just started having this back and forth. And as I'm doing it, I'm like, dang, like another parallel conversation I had with someone about marketing, and they were teaching me how you can create what are called projects in ChatGPT. I think that this is available in the free version because I've had some different people set this up, and I'm pretty sure they were able to.
I don't know.
But if you go into ChatGPT, you can create a project, and then in the upper right-hand corner, this is on a desktop, there's 3 dots. You can click on those 3 dots, and you can hit, let me pull this up actually. I think it's something like add directions. Yeah, so top right-hand corner, 3 dots, you can hit add instructions, and you can type out your instructions in here. So basically, I'm Chris, and you are my my nutrition and performance coach. Here's my current status, goals, and systems so we can pick up seamlessly from this point forward. And then I give current progress and context. I'm currently in armor and resilience, our training block at the gym. Phase 3, I've included the program file in this conversation. My weekly training includes strength A, B, C, and D, 5 runs total, including steady state, 2 easy runs, a threshold run, and a long run, plus 1 resilience circuit day. Recent performance trends, steady state. Like, I'm not going to read all this, but basically, I talk about how my training's been going, what my recent weight trends have been, what my goal is with weight, what normal fluctuations I see, and then what my current target body weight is. And then the other thing that you can do, so you don't have to be that detailed, but you can just go in and give directions and basically tell it like, here's how I want you to operate. And now everything you do in that project, like when you open ChatGPT, you can just start a conversation and it will be saved off to the left-hand side. Within that project, it will refer to those directions. So you can make those directions as detailed as you would like, and it will refer to those directions for how it's going to operate. And so I just decided to do an experiment where I took, based on this back and forth I was having, and then looking at like where my weight's been with different things, I started to put in activity multipliers. Like, okay, on my training days, um, so let's use my base as goal body weight times 17. On days where I train twice a day, let's add 200 to 300 calories above that. If I'm training once a day, we'll add 100 to 200 calories above that. And then on days where I'm not training, we'll keep it at goal body weight times 15 to 17. I don't put any like rigid, like, all right, I need to hit this exact number of calories a day, right? Everything that I do, like for instance, yesterday being a double day, my caloric goal was 2,800 to 3,100. Pretty big window to hit, right? And then I go in there and I put in for protein. Here's what I don't even do it as percentage. I do it as percentage of body weight. And then basically explain like I'm gonna do flexible macros, like you can fill in the rest with fats and carbs. But and this is where this whole thing has been so awesome to me, and now it's something that I think that I will keep doing in an ongoing manner, is I have it like I after I'm done running and lifting, I'll load in the information, everything, like from Garmin. I'll screenshot it, put it in, and tell it how I felt from that run. So we start to get this track record of on days leading up to it, when my carbs were at this percentage, or this, I don't even worry about percentage, but like this total number of carbs in grams a day, I feel really, really good on these runs. Oh, there was this one run where like I bonked and felt like absolute crap. Oh yeah, look, my carbs were lower on this day. I had a higher fat day. So it's just been able to like refine, and it's gotten to the point now where I'm not like this uh deranged person who's like, all right, I have to weigh every single thing. For me, it's been about going into my workouts feeling like $1,000,000 while also hitting some body composition goals that I've been after without having to get my phone out with my fitness pal and be like, all right, what's this? What's this? You can take pictures of a nutrition label, right? And just be like, I'm having 1 serving of this. You can be at a restaurant and you can take a picture of the menu and be like, I realize we're not going to get exact here, but I'm, knowing what I have coming up for training and what I've done today, I'm thinking about, these 3 meals. Like, what do you think would be best? And it's just been wild because then you can say like, explain why you think that is. Um, and so it might sound like a ton of work, but it really hasn't been. And I started this on October 25th. Today is December 10th. and I've gone from 170 to I've been holding at 161 and a half, and feeling like all of my strength is up and all of my runs are significantly faster. And the biggest sell for me is I had so many training runs. Last year was all about jujitsu. The year or two prior to that was all about running. But there were so many runs where I'd be like, why in the world did I bonk today? Why do I feel like crap? And it's like, oh yeah, it was a fueling thing. But I was at a little bit of a loss of like, well, how should I have fueled for this? Was it something like, was it intra training carbs? Was it like my day prior? I wasn't tracking. So I didn't have a good way to look at it. And if I did, I would have to like go and like pick it apart by myself and be like, maybe it's this. But with this, I'm able to just ask a question like you're having a conversation with someone and get real time feedback. And I have not had any, knock on wood. I've only had two runs since October 25th where I felt like crap on those runs. And I was able to look at what I did in the 48 hours leading up to that and make adjustments in those same days and in upcoming weeks and have no issues. But for me, that's been the biggest sell. Like where I was saying, like kicking this call off, where I was like, I'm tracking for a little bit of a different reason. I feel like a lot of people track because they're like, all right, like if it fits my macros, and I'm just like making sure that um, I'm jacked. But for me, it's like, yes, of course. Like I won't lie, I want to be ripped, but I want to perform really freaking well. And this has made it very, very simple to walk into workouts confident that, yeah, I'm going to have the energy that I need for this workout. Um, and I mean, you and I have had conversations about people that you've trained jumping into endurance training and their HRV and stuff tanking. And mine did before. And now I'm like consistently lowest heart rates, highest HRV. And I don't know if you, where is this? The resilience reading in Aura Ring. I don't know if it'll focus.
It's blurry. It won't focus on it.
How about now?
Yeah, I can see it.
It's
Kind
pinned
of.
to the it's like where your resilience goes limited, adequate, solid, strong, exceptional. Mine's pinned to the top of exceptional. When I was running before, my resilience always dropped down into solid. And I would feel like crap. So it's not saying that uh ChatGPT is like making me, but just tracking. And this is a way that I've found to track that doesn't make me hate it, right? And in
Sure.
fact, like it makes it so incredibly simple, and I see the benefit of it. That yeah, it's been awesome. So I've built out all these different files that we're going to upload into these projects and stuff for people, and we'll talk. Like it's not like we're just going to overwhelm someone and throw them into this level. We'll talk about how we're going to determine where people are going to be. But for people that do wind up at this level, we have all of these like conditional logic um, spreadsheets and stuff that you can upload straight into the project so that it will know like ranges of what you should be doing. It'll know what the training is in the gym and everything. And it will scale your stuff. And then it will get your morning weight trends and everything else and continually refine your approach with nutrition, which is pretty wild just to think. Imagine this, 5 years ago. Like I would think this is impossible. So it's pretty cool.
Oh, well, no, you couldn't imagine it 5 years ago. It didn't really exist to the degree that it does. But yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing for people is like, everything sounds good, right? It's the, level one or tier one is, you know, here's what to do. Tier one, we're working on skills and habits. And then tier three, it's more of um, a performance approach that's just a little bit more involved. But, the most important thing is that whatever approach that you take, like it's going to be the right one for you. Like that's the biggest thing is it's individualized based on what we learn about you. So it's like, yeah, you can hear all the bells and whistles and Chris, and maybe for some people that excites you, and maybe for other people it's like, well, fuck, I don't want to deal with all that shit. So it's like the important thing is, and where the value is we figure out, just like with training, at the gym, we figure out where you need to start with your nutrition.
So the way we
Should
do that is quiz.
yeah.
Quiz based on your answers.
It's
Those
like
answers.
what would you say your spirit animal is the first question on the quiz. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's yours, Chris?
Raven.
No, incorrect. Go ahead. Let's
What do
go.
you think?
Oh, you're a squirrel.
Yeah, there we go. Damn squirrels. They've ruined a lot. No, but we start with a quiz and the answers are weighted, and it's not like, oh, if you answered this question, you answered this, all right, then you're in this tier. But we look at the totality of your answers, and those are weighted. And one, they say where we think you're going to have the most success. But also, we don't just then go like, all right, this is your tier. We kick things off after the quiz with a call to talk about what approach we think is going to be best. And to your point, like that was one of the conversations we had is like when you start training with us, we start with testing. We look at mobility. We look at postural control. We look at form and fidelity. We look at cardio and recovery. And then based on that, we get you your tailored path through everything that we do. Why wouldn't it be the same for nutrition? So it starts with a quiz. That's your assessment. Then we have a conversation about like, well, where do you think you would thrive in all of this? Here's what we think. And then even once you get into them, one of the things that we used to do that we're not going to do this time is when you were in tier one, it was like, we start with protein, but we're not going to do that this time. Like we're going to have, here are the list of the different habits and skills. Where do you want to start? And then we can just move things onto your calendar so that we're coming at this from things like could be, this is the most impactful one for you to do. Or for you, like you need that one that's like, this is going to be the most digestible and get us that quick win, even within the habits and skills. And same with the tier one. It's like I mentioned breakfast, but maybe we go like, man, I struggle at dinner every night. Cool. So we start at dinner, right? We go find the quickest win in each of the things. And to your point with tier three, if someone is like us and training a lot, I think there is massive value in doing tracking. But if you don't know how to put together meals, you don't feel remotely comfortable tracking anything, like, then that would be the worst place to put you, right? It
Absolutely.
might
Yeah.
be like you could look at it and be like, someone that's very performance based shouldn't be on tier one. Well, maybe they should. Like, you know what I
For
mean?
sure.
And we get that quick win. And the conversation is that like, hey, once we get you comfortable with this stuff and with your goals, it will make sense for you down the road to build to tier three. Then we can lay out a plan to do that.
Oh yeah.
So
I mean, there are a lot of people that train really hard that don't know how to eat, compose all of this stuff. And it's you look at it and you're like, man, I know that making sure that your carbohydrate intake is right in the later half of the day before you train the next morning is going to be important. But we're not even going to talk about that because we got to get you transferred from Pop Tarts to maybe having a couple eggs. You know what I mean? It's just you can't you can't throw the cart way before the horse. You got to solve the problem, the most salient problem that you got to solve. You know.
I mean, you know what you and I did for the rock and roll half marathon. Oh well,
That was a 6,000 calorie meal.
it it
Easy.
reminds it reminds me of that meme where the dude's like, the good thing is I fueled for a 50-mile ultra marathon. The bad news is running a 5K.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we did not need all that food. That is for goddamn sure. It was delicious though.
It's
I
so
enjoyed it.
good.
Yeah.
For just insight into what we're talking about. Before a half marathon, Todd and I went to this Mediterranean restaurant. I don't remember what you ate, but I ate a whole pizza.
We ate the same
Plus,
thing.
okay, a whole pizza,
We each got
kebabs,
a yeah, we each got a kebab meal plus a whole pizza.
and
We
hummus.
and I got yeah, and I would always get the extra Greek dressing with the
Yeah,
pita bread. Yeah.
yeah. And
Yeah.
Todd had to stop at the bathroom during the race.
I did no, I just had to pee. I just had to pee. But I was definitely I was definitely over 200 pounds for the race. I didn't know if I would be, but after that I sure was. Yeah. I wouldn't hit 200 pounds after eating that now, though. I wouldn't even get close, I don't think.
What do you weigh now?
I'm like 190 pounds.
Crazy.
Yeah. Twisted steel and sex appeal, 190 pounds.
One way to put it.
No, it's the exact way to put it. It's not one way to put it. That's what it is, Chris.
So we're gonna we're going to be rolling this out to members first, in the coming days. And then I don't want to say too much, but there's we're not saying anything at the gym yet. So there's an insane amount of changes coming to Beyond Strength that will be seen and announced come sometime in January. The reason why I'm vague with sometime in January is because we don't know when all of it will be done. But as that stuff happens, then even our onboarding, the way that you can join Beyond Strength is going to look different. We're going to be presenting options that we've never presented before. And one of those options will include these 3 tiers of nutrition. So among other things. So it's coming in January. If you're interested, you can go to it's beyondstrength.com or bspnova.com and fill out a free intro form. And yeah, we can let you know as soon as you're ready to go.
Let you know when it's ready to go. Nice
Anything else you
copying
want
you.
to?
I think we got it. I think we covered her. I think we.
Are we gonna be with these? Because we just like dove into this and we took a year off. I don't know how long we really took off, but a long.
Some folks need a break, Chris. You know what I mean? Well, the real issue was Riverside was really sucking for a while, and it wasn't like it was not working. And so I think that just we were trying to find a new solution. We didn't find one, and now Riverside seems to be doing its job again. So that's a good thing. Yeah.
The White House, the service seems to be pretty good. So
It wasn't just the service, man. I mean, I am at the White House right now, though. I'm in the basement. They don't know I'm here.
you're up pretty high in the background there for being.
That's a green screen, brother. Yep.
Makes sense. Makes sense. All
This is
right.
gonna get flagged or something. We're gonna get investigated now because I said some dumb shit. So, yeah.
Yep.
Well,
And
I don't think so. I think it's probably good enough. Probably good for today.
we'll see you guys for another episode next week, or maybe the week after that, or maybe 6 months after that. But we will see you for another episode at some point. So
Sometime. See you there or at another time.